Nikita, I know you're often described as sort of like a mix of an R&B pop singer. How do you tend to describe the
Mhm.
music you make?
Um, it's been hard to kind of describe the music I make. I would say it's pop R&B, but it's definitely influenced by my South Asian roots. I grew up in India. I grew up loving 50s, 60s, 70s Bollywood. I loved the 90s and 2000s, 2010s when it came to pop. So all of that has definitely informed my music, and I always sneak in those elements in there. So I would say pop R&B, give it like a South Asian swirl.
I think that's a perfect description of it, and it's so unique. Who are some of the influences you had musically when you were growing up?
I loved A.R. Rahman. He is an Indian composer. He's an absolute genius. Everything he did was so incredible to me. I also grew up loving Whitney Houston and Beyonce and Timbaland. Yeah, so those are some of my influences from when I was younger. And then as I got older, I kind of fell in love with Frank Ocean, John Bellion. Yeah, I would say those are my influences.
We have Godless coming out here shortly. Talk
Yeah.
about creating the song.
I made the song with London Thompson. She helped me co-write my last single as well, Heaven. And London and I were not sure this writing session what we wanted to write about. We just came in and we were both kind of blank. And she pulled up Telekinesis by Travis Scott. And it's a Kanye produced song. It's so obviously a Kanye production. And when I heard it, I just loved the beat. And so we kind of started there and we were looking for samples that sort of felt inspired by that. And we landed on the sample you hear in the chorus of the song, the ooh, like that vocally driven sample, which I love using vocals in production. So we started there and we built a bass line around it. And when I started fiddling around with the bass line, London just looked at me and she was like, "This just sounds like going to war. Like, this sounds angry." And I was like, "Oh, I guess we're going there." So we started with the feeling, and the feeling eventually became the song. And it kind of started with imagery of like seeing this godlike figure that's looking down on you all the time and is dictating your every move. And you're scared, but you do realize that you have power and you choose your power over everything else. So that's kind of how we started to write Godless. There's a lot of different influences across the song. Um, the verses and the bass line were very much inspired by Banks, who's another artist that I really love. And then going into that chorus, I knew I wanted something big, something that I could belt and that felt just really vocally strong. So we really took it there. We had a lot of fun writing this song.
When it comes to songwriting, do you have a typical process like that you work through when you're creating your songs, or does it vary every time? Like you can hear a beat in your head and then you work around it, things like that?
Yeah, I feel like it changes with every song. Some songs start out with inspiration. I listen to a track and I'm like, wow, that really inspires me. Or I have an idea for a bass line stuck in my head, or a drum groove, or sometimes it just starts with a concept. I have an idea of what I want the song to be about. So I try not to put too much pressure on how to start a song and how to write a song, and I try not to give it too much structure because I feel like it cages you in. I just go with it. Whatever, however it starts is how it starts.
You mentioned before a little bit about the production side of the music you make. How involved are you on that side of the music?
I produce a lot of my own music. So Heaven was entirely produced by me. Godless is also entirely produced by me. Yeah, and I've also been getting heavily involved in mixing and mastering my own music as well. So I love it. I really love playing with sound. It's so much fun for me.
Oh my goodness, you're such a master then of every aspect of the music you make. Why is that so important then for you to be so hands-on with it?
I just really love it. I love exploring. I feel like a kid every time I make music. And I crave and love that feeling. And also I am definitely a perfectionist. I want what I want, and I've learned over time that yes, sometimes it's good to hand over the reins because everybody has their limits, and there's only so much you can do, and there's only so much you should do. As an artist, I think burnout is very real, especially as an independent artist. So I'm very mindful of that. But at the same time, there are times where I'm like, I know I could nail this, and I know what I want, and I'd rather just do it myself. So the perfectionist in me sometimes takes over when it comes to mixing and mastering, especially.
With Godless coming here shortly, is this a teaser for a full album or even an EP shortly?
We've got an EP coming. It's called Ascension. Godless is on track listing the first track of the EP, but in terms of releases, we've already had another song, a couple other songs out that are going to be on the EP. I'm really excited because this EP really tells the story of what I've been dealing with in my life, which has been very much rock bottom on a personal mental health level, and then the rise back up to feeling happy and grounded and good. So we called it Ascension because of that.
Who would you love to collaborate with on a song in the future?
Oh my gosh. There's a list in my head. um, I would say definitely John Bellion, and Beyonce and Victoria Monet. I would love to work with Victoria Monet.
You have such beautiful music here to come here in the future. Shortly, actually, we're ready for Godless. How are you planning to celebrate its release?
Honestly, I'm not sure. I don't know if any other artists talk about this before, but I don't think it's that much of a well kept secret. Release days are quite stressful for most artists. You know, there's the posting online, and then the gauging the response and all the things, and it's also so um it's all so it's like giving birth. It's like you're so in it, and it can feel so cathartic to put a music out, and especially a song like Godless. It feels so big and so personal. I feel like with every release I've just become more and more honest with how my music relates to my personal life. So I will probably just be resting. I am usually cooped up at home on release day. I don't want anybody to talk to me. I'm already doing the most.
What would you like to say then to everyone who are fans and supporters of the beautiful music that you make?
Wow. None of this is possible without them. None of it is possible without them. I truly appreciate every single person that listens. And more so because a lot of the people that listen to my music and that reach out to me are usually very much in need of the kind of music that I've been making. A lot of the times I say I make music to empower people. And most importantly, I make music to empower myself, to remind myself of my own power. And that's the response I get from so many people, that they need that song, they need that moment to feel like they can remember who they are. So I'm just grateful that I get to do that for people, and I'm just grateful for them, and I'm so thankful that anybody listens at all. I love them.